will have a better chance of survival here. Community members can instruct their communities to identify potential hazards in their homes or workplaces, reducing those hazards where possible, developing a disaster supply kit also for adults, children, and pets. That's important to have all three people accounted for there, and then understanding weather patterns and hurricanes, which we've already done. Community members can distribute preparedness material, advise your community when you go to your next homeowner association meeting, hey listen, we need to pre-plan for these hurricane seasons that are coming. We need to get our affairs in order so we can be able to take care of ourselves in the event that something happens. Tell everybody that you know after tonight about our CERT program. It's a free program. The next class is starting in October, so you're certainly invited to join that, and also become certified in CPR and first aid. Just as a general knowledge, you'll have a better knowledge with that. This is what one of our CERT classes look like. You get these uniforms, helmets, goggles, gloves, masks, and you join a group of people in the community, and it's a really great program. I can't say enough about it. Ask any other of the people that you see here tonight with the white shirt with our fire logo on there, and they'll tell you what the program's all about. Additional ideas, really get to know your neighbors in the neighborhood, have a disaster plan for your family and your community, organize donations for food, waters, donation, identify special needs, people that are in your community that are reliant on home health care to come in and take care of them every day. What do you think is going to happen to those people when the power is out and the roads are blocked? No one's coming for them. So those are our special needs people that we need to take care of and look out for in our communities. Utility location and control is important, shutting the gas, water, and electric down, preventing fires and explosions and that kind of thing from happening. And again, training in first aid and CPR courses. Now, this question comes up a lot. If I'm in a condo near the ocean, if I'm safe, if I'm higher up in the condo, would you agree with that? You're higher up, you're away from the water. No, studies have shown that 10 to 15 stories up, the winds are 10% stronger. At 100 miles an hour, wind at the surface will be much stronger in a high-rise building. That's one reason why windows tend to blow out in tall buildings. So if you're in a high-rise building and you're not evacuating, then try to go down to a lower level. Find a safe room somewhere down below. Now, know your risk and evacuation routes. If you live in an evacuation zone, you really need to evacuate. Have a plan, let your family members know what that plan is going to be. Secure needed supplies like food, water, gas, and cash. All these things are going to be in short supply after a storm. Flood-proof your property. Any important computer terminals or stereos or TVs, anything that's on the floor, before the storm comes, put them up on top of the table, cover them with sheathing or plastic to help prevent them getting into the water. That's going to save you a lot of money. Especially if you're going to evacuate, you should be doing that before you evacuate. Secure mobile homes and all outdoor items. Anything that's outside of your home needs to be brought inside. Anything that's not bolted down is going to become a missile and go through either your window or your neighbor's window when the storm is hitting. So we need to bring everything in. Now here's an evacuation zone map for Delray Beach. I know there was a question of that. But essentially, here's our barrier island. We've got the intercoastal waterway. Federal Highway runs along this line right here. This is Federal Highway. So all this area is going to be an evacuation zone with a Category 2 hurricane that comes into Delray Beach. So if you live anywhere in these areas, you want to make sure that you have an alternate plan and where you're going to go. If you're going to evacuate, George Bush Boulevard is a bridge to the north. We've got Atlantic Avenue Bridge and then Linton to the south. Those are going to be your three key arteries to get off of the barrier island and evacuate those zones. So, have a plan, stock up now, and ease the stress of hurricane season. If you've gotten this all taken care of beforehand, it's going to ease the stress of getting all this done. So, decide now whether you're going to evacuate or ride the storm out. The law says that if authorities order an evacuation, you must leave if you live in an evacuation zone where flooding is likely. Flooding is the #1 cause of death in hurricanes. In general, anyone living east of the Intracoastal Waterway should be ready to leave if a storm is approaching. People who live in an evacuation zone run the risk that the rising ocean, called storm surge, will swallow them up, and it will. Hurricane basics. Remember to stock up on enough emergency supplies to last your family 3 to possibly even 7 days of confinement in your community. Clean containers for storing water. If you need one, you will need 1 gallon per person per day of drinking water. Gallon-sized freezer bags for making ice are best. You'll know to fill them with water and freeze them as you can a few days before the storm. Use non-scented household bleach to purify water. Okay, remember that, non-scented. You don't want to put the scented bleach to try to purify water because you're going to taste that and smell it. So non-scented bleach, 1 teaspoon per gallon will do the job. Flashlights for each member of the family, fresh extra batteries. Use candles only as a last resort when the power is out. Candles are a major fire hazard. Battery-powered radio, local weather stations go to simulcasting when the power goes out. So as soon as the power goes out, whatever TV station that you're watching will go to simulcasting on your AM radio. So understand that. When you're in your safe room, leave the TV that's closest to your safe room on with the volume all the way up so you can hear what's happening on the TV. Then when the power finally goes out, turn your battery-powered radio on, and then your local TV station will be simulcast to the local AM station there. Okay, get a charcoal or gas grills with a supply of fuel so you can cook. Very important. I'm going to go into that a little bit in further detail here. Use disposable plastic eating utensils to help conserve water. A hand-operated can opener for opening non-perishable foods is really the thing that you need. So make sure that you get one of those hand crank can openers to get those non-perishable food items. Place toilet paper in plastic bags to keep them dry. Extra prescription medications, a couple of weeks supply up to a month's supply if you can. I found this website here. It's called rxresponse.org. And if you go to that website, after the storm is over, they'll be telling you, they'll broadcast the local pharmacies that are up and running to your general location there. So if you can get an internet connection after the storm, they will tell you where the closest pharmacy is that you can go to based on your location to get medicines if you need it.
Are they accessible by phone in case we're out of power?
I don't know if they're, I'm sure you can call them by phone. If you go on their website, they'll give you all the information for contacting them. So that's another resource for you there. Don't forget about your pets. Extra cat and dog food, kitty litter. Have at least 1 out-of-state phone contact that you have, so you can only make 1 call. Have somebody that lives up in Georgia or California or Nebraska or somewhere, have that out-of-state phone contact so you can call 1 person, 1 phone call to let the rest of your family know that you're okay. Have all of the other family members call that 1 person to find out how you're doing. So essentially you only have to make 1 phone call in that respect. Other family members can call the person to see how you're doing. Place important papers in Ziploc bags to keep them dry. Now, preparing your yard for pre-storm maintenance. Trim your trees and branches that could hit your home in a storm before May 31st. We want to try to do this in the month of May. It gives the Solid Waste Authority time to come in and grab all of your trimmings and tree limbs and take those away. So we don't want to do that as we're into hurricane season. And if a storm is coming, that's not the time to start trimming all of your trees and thinking that you're going to do something good, because they're not going to have enough time to come and get those limbs. Trim out vegetation to lessen wind resistance. Place your tree trimmings at the curb. We know this. Tie the bundles up 50 pounds at 6-foot lengths. Clear your yard and property of any bulky waste items. Leave at the curb for your bulky collection day. Outside your home, cover or brace all windows or door openings. Remove a door or 1 screen panel on each side of your pool enclosure to allow wind to flow through, cutting down wind resistance. This could save your pool enclosures. I know in Hurricane Wilma, if you had a pool enclosure, a lot of them were damaged and blown down. If you just know to bring one of those panels down on either side, that'll help the wind go through and not create such a resistance. Disconnect propane tanks from your propane grill. Bring your barbecue grills inside. Safely store your propane tank outside the home in a shed or exterior closet. This may be the only means of cooking during a power outage. So we're telling you to try to save your barbecue grill. Disconnect the propane tank, put it in an outside closet or somewhere outside. Store your propane tank outside. bring the grill assembly inside. This is going to make your life a lot easier after the power is out. I know in Hurricane Wilma, my power was out for 7 days here in the west part of Delray. But I had the grill and I was able to cook, and as things were falling out from the refrigerator, I was able to cook them, and even though you couldn't get out of the neighborhood, you had a food supply there. So it's important. Swimming pools, drain your swimming pool 6 to 12 inches to allow for possible heavy rainfall. Do not drain it completely. Shock the pool by adding additional chlorine to the water. Disconnect the power to your pool pump. Do not wrap plastic in it. If there is flooding, water will collect on the plastic and ruin the pump. Stock up on chlorine to keep your pool water clean. In the event of a prolonged power outage, you will not be able to run the filter. Bring your own, use your own discretion about throwing outdoor furniture in the pool. If it sinks to the bottom, it won't blow away, but you run the risk of damaging the pool's finish. And don't throw anything metal into the pool because it can rust on you and ruin your finish there. Inside your home, very important. If you didn't know this, turn your refrigerator and freezer to the coldest settings. 24 hours before the storm is about to hit us, drop those refrigerator levels down. You want that ice box to be as cold as possible for as long as possible. It's going to keep your food in there, good for a longer period of time. Freeze water in plastic jugs. Keep them in the freezer cold when the power is out. So if you open the freezer, take one of those jugs out, put it in the refrigerator, and that will keep your refrigerator colder longer. So you keep that motion there, and if you do it right, you'll be able to keep your refrigerator nice and cool for several days. Stock up on jugs of water, 1 gallon per person per day. Fill the bathtub with water for non-drinking use. Fill your bathtub up all the way to the top with water. You can use that to flush your toilets, or use that for washing your hands or utensils, that kinds of things. Prepare your safe room. Where would a safe room be in your home? Does anybody know? Bottom floor in the middle of your house in an interior room with no windows. That's called a safe room. You want to be able to evacuate to that room, stay inside that room until the storm is all clear. Okay? Yes?
And if the shower door is made of glass, take those panels out.
If you're in the bathroom with no window but the shower doors are made of glass, that's a hazard there, so prepare for that. Yes?
Do hurricane shutters change the configuration of a safe room?
You still want to go to an interior room, even if you've got all of your doors and windows shuttered. You want to go into that small room. What that's doing for you, it's adding stability around you. If you're in a big, wide room, then walls can cave down, the roof can blow off. But if you're in a nice, tight, small room, you've got all 4 walls that are around you, giving you more protection by those walls and that kind of thing. So bathtub is very important. Prepare your safe room. Stock up with battery-powered TV and or radio with spare batteries. Sleeping bags for comfort, pillows, chairs, snacks, drinking water, and games for children if they're there. Have a mattress nearby to get under in case your home suffers structural damage. So that's a last case resort, or worst case resort, getting a mattress for you. Place valuables and personal papers in waterproof containers and Ziploc bags and bring them with you into your safe room so you can account for them. Now, mobile homes or manufactured homes, turn off the main water supply because you're going to be evacuating. If you live in a trailer or a manufactured home and there's an evacuation order, then you're going to want to evacuate. These types of structures can't handle winds of 100 miles an hour. They're going to blow right down. So you're going to have to evacuate there. So turn the water supply off, turn the gas off if you have it there, bring all secured objects inside, evacuate. Do not attempt to ride the storm out. High-rise condos, bring in loose objects from balconies, install shutters and windows on doors, evacuate if you're in an evacuation zone. Leave early since you have the farthest to travel from the coast, and remember, winds are stronger at higher levels. If you evacuate to a shelter, do as a last resort. Our shelter here for Delray Beach is the Atlantic High School, and it's right there on West Atlantic Avenue, just past Congress on the north side. I added that in the hurricane guide for you. The address and the number is there, but it's the Atlantic High School there, and that is the shelter for Delray Beach. Do it as a last resort. There's not many amenities there. Try to go with a friend somewhere where you can read a book and relax, and you don't want to be in a building with a cot to sleep on at night, and kids are crying, and the power may be out, it may be hot in there, very little to eat, so make sure that you use the shelter as a very last resort if you have to use that. But all these things are important to take to the shelter if you're going to do that. Now, outside your home, locate storm shutters, garage door supports, and hardware and tools necessary for installation. The garage door support is very important. You should, if you have a garage door, there should be a brace that goes in to secure your garage. That is one of the biggest things that blows down in a hurricane, is the garage door. People think that it's strong enough. It's not. When the wind hits it, it buckles right away and falls in. So make sure you get your brace for that. Install shutters and supports. Go from top to bottom because the most difficult ones are on the second floor. So go down. Fill all vehicles with gas and park them in your garage or close to the side of your home to prevent trees from falling. Turn the propane gas off at the tank before evacuating. Check with your natural gas provider if you have natural gas, whether you should shut that down before you evacuate. So all these tips are very important before the storm. Review your family plan. Check for hurricane supply kit and the non-perishable food items. Does everyone understand what a non-perishable food item is?
Spam.
Spam, yeah. Okay, that's a good one. Any canned food items that don't spoil, something that you can open the can and eat it cold, or you can heat it, is a non-perishable food. Have a conventional telephone line that will work in case the power is out. Does anybody understand why that's important? You don't need power for that type of phone to work. I know in Hurricane Wilma, the power was out in this whole area, and people were able to plug in their conventional telephones into the telephone outlet there, and were able to make some calls. So that's a very inexpensive item to get and put into your supply kit.
It only works if you aren't using cable via.
Right.
Okay, it only works if you're not using cable via?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Check medical supplies. Have a cell phone charger and a car adapter. Make sure that you charge your cell phones and batteries up before the storm hits. Check your medical supplies and prescription medicines. Have a minimum of 2 weeks supply on hand. Battery-operated TVs, flashlights, lanterns. Make sure they're in good working order with fresh batteries. Have enough cash on hand for up to a week. A lot of the grocery stores out there that do cash only because they don't have any power, so it's a good idea to have some cash on hand. ATMs may be out for several weeks after the storm. Stay inside. Now during the storm, okay, stay inside. Make sure the storm has completely passed before going outside of your house. Be aware of the eye of the storm. Don't think that, oh, the sun's out now, I can venture out and it's okay. The eye of the storm goes over and it's very quiet. You think there's no more rain, there's no more wind, it's sunny, it's beautiful out, and you think the storm is over, but it's not. It's only the eye is over you. So understand that. Stay tuned for local news and updates. Turn circuit breakers off if the power goes out. We ran into a ton of fires during after the fact of Hurricane Wilma, where people had their power on as normal, cooking stuff on their stoves, and the power went out, and they forgot that the things were on their stove. Well, now the power has been off for a whole week, so they're moving items onto the stove and whatever. The power is flickering back on, the power comes back on. They don't know it directly, and then people were having kitchen fires all over the city because power came back on suddenly, and their power came on and started the kitchen fire. So understand that you need to take and shut down your breakers. Leave one circuit breaker on with a lamp so you'll know when the power is restored. Keep it to a living room with a TV or a lamp. Make sure that your kitchen is turned off. Do not use candles or kerosene lamps during a storm. As wind becomes more intense, go into the safe room and do not expose yourself to the hurricane's winds. Keep windows closed. It's a myth that opening a window on one side of the house will equalize pressure. That is a myth. Make sure that every window is closed and shuttered up and secure. If your house begins to sustain damage, cover yourself with a mattress and pillows. If your safe room is a bathroom with a bathtub and you didn't fill it up with water, then get in. Well, you might want to get into it anyway. But get into the tub under the mattress. That's going to be a very protected place for you. You got the security of the bathtub with the mattress over top. That's a last resort. If you see that your roof is being torn off. Use cell phones for urgent calls only. Don't use the phone if you hear thunder. If you're in a tall building, avoid the top floors at wind speeds are stronger. The higher you go, and then go down below to a safe room. Now, if you don't think the eye of the storm had ever affected us, well, here's an illustration of the eye of the storm. Hurricane Wilma. We're in the eye of the storm right here. This is Delray Beach. I came out, I was working at Station 3 over on Linton Boulevard, and we came outside the building, and we were looking around, and I was like, so beautiful out. There's not a cloud in the sky, there's no wind, but it was really eerie because there wasn't even a sound. There wasn't a bird chirping, there was not a sound, but then suddenly we saw cars coming down Linton Boulevard, and we're like, where are they going? Why are they out on the road? Well, they must not have known that we were in the eye of the storm, and they didn't know that they only had about 30 minutes before this side of the storm was going to re-hit them with 100 mile an hour winds that were coming. So we stood out there, we could see the storms approaching, and it took about 45 seconds, and the wind went from 0 to about 60 to 80 miles an hour, and we ran back inside the station. So the eye of the storm is there. Don't be fooled that, you know, listen to your battery-powered radio, and when the all clear is given by the professionals, then you're able to come outside of your safe room. Now, after the storm, use extreme caution. There may be dangerous situations all around you. If your house is damaged, move carefully to get out. Don't return until inspected by officials. If you have catastrophic damage to your home, try to get out as safely as you can, and go out and wait for fire rescue to show up. Go to a neighbor's house. Go somewhere else. Don't meander around. It's a really dangerous situation to be in. Always supervise children. Do not drink tap water until officials have announced it's safe to do so. Avoid driving if possible because the debris in the roads will be blocked. We know that, so don't try to venture out. You're not going to get far. If the power is out, gasoline will be in short supply, and filling stations will have long lines. Here in Palm Beach County, there are several gas stations out there that have backup generator power now. If you go on palmbeachcounty.gov, you can get that list. We also have it on our website, mydelraybeach.com. Go to hurricane or disaster preparedness, and you'll get a list of all of the Publix stores that have backup generators. That's important to know. Get some fresh food there. And then all the shelter information is there, and then all of the gas stations with backup generator power is listed on our website there, so you can get that information. Also, very important, if the intersection and the stoplights are out or they're blinking, always use that as a four-way stop. Remember, approach the intersection, stop, let the person to your right move along, and then it's a circle pattern, and then you move along there. Phone lines and cell towers will be damaged or overloaded. Try making calls at off-peak times, so get that out-of-state phone contact going. If power remains out for an extended period of time, FEMA will set up relief stations to provide free ice water and other necessary items. We will have point of distribution sites here in Delray Beach if that ever comes up to play. And after Wilma, we did have 3 distribution points here in Delray that they set up, which was great for folks that needed that. Now, what to do after the storm. Do not re-enter until the area is safe. Let authorities advise you when. Use a flashlight to inspect for damage when in the dark. Even during the day, if you're inside a home that's got all the shutters, then you're going to be in the dark even during the day. So make sure that you have batteries for every person in your home with extra, or flashlights with extra batteries. Stay away from down power lines and assume that every power line is energized. Don't go up to a wire and look around and say, oh, all the lights are out in my community here. It's okay for me to step on this wire or go around it. You can't do that. It's a major hazard there. Assume that every line that you see that's down on the ground is energized. You don't know where that line goes. It may go to a source that's still energized, and your area may be out of power, but that line may still be energized. Also, if you're in standing water, be very careful with standing water. If there's any power lines that go into standing water, try to avoid those areas. Turn off your utilities, shut down your gas, water, and electric. Even if you're going to ride the storm out in your condo, you should be shutting these areas down. It's preventing further damage from happening in the event that the storm is hitting you. So turning your electric power down, only leaving one room on with a TV and a light. So shutting that down, turning the gas off, and turning the water supply to your home, shutting that down as well. If we have a pipe that breaks, it could alleviate your whole house from flooding. So, generators. Now, this is important, generator safety. More and more folks out there are buying generators every year, and it's important to know the hazards that generators can produce for people. So, following the storm, many areas may experience a wide power outages. For the safety of repair crews, power companies will not begin restoration efforts until the wind speeds are down below 35 miles an hour. So for an FP&L truck, the wind speed is 35. For a fire rescue truck, it's about 45 or 50. So always run your portable generator outside of your house. Don't put it on your back patio. Don't put it in your garage. There's a safety problem with that. Never run the generator inside or in the garage, of course. Install a CO2 detector in your house. Make sure batteries are fresh. So if you are getting some exhaust coming into your home, your CO2 detector is going to go off and alert you. Remember, the exhaust from a generator is odorless and tasteless. You're not going to know that you're being engulfed by the fumes there. You're going to become lightheaded and you're going to want to go to sleep. And you may not wake back up from that. So we had a lot of EMS calls after WILMA for people that were overcome by CO2 exhaust. So understand that. Keep it outside and away. Be sure to turn the generator off and let it cool down before refueling. We had a lot of fires with people trying to refuel the generator. They were refueling it as it was running, and it had been running for 10 hours. And the thing is extremely hot, and they're pouring the gas into it. As soon as the gas splashes over, then everything catches on fire. Keep generators well away from window openings, including your neighbor's window. It really depends on how well you like your neighbor. But don't put the exhaust over into his window because his windows are going to be open. So remember that exhaust fume is going to travel into that opening there. So don't do that. Never attempt to connect the generator directly to the home wiring. Power from the generator will backfeed to utility lines with the potential of severely injuring or killing a neighbor or utility crew worker who is trying to restore service. Instead, always plug appliances directly into the generator's outlet. Use heavy-duty extension cords rated for outdoor use and place the generator safely outdoors. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations for grounding, and then observe noise ordinances and be considerate of your neighbors. Run the thing full blast all day long, but when it's nighttime and it's 9 o'clock, it may be time to shut it down. Your refrigerator should be good for the whole night until you wake up in the morning, so just try to be considerate there. Electrical service. Repair crews will return power to the facilities that serve the largest number of effective customers first. If you didn't know that, this is where the priority of the power company is. It's not established by location, your payment history, or how often you call. That's not going to come into play here. So don't worry about that. Crews focus on facilities that provide essential services to your community, such as a hospital, a police station, a fire station, television station. So if you live close to a hospital or a fire station, you're in a good spot, because it's likely that your power will be turned on before the other parts of your neighborhood. After the storm passes, stay tuned to local news for information about waste collection services. The Solid Waste Authority will issue a bulletin for normal pickup services or when they will resume. Although it may be several weeks before yard waste is going to be removed, so understand that you need to prepare for that. Keep household garage separate from other waste materials and tie plastic bags in case of delay in garbage collection. Place small debris, loose items, and household refuge in garbage cans or tie plastic bags. Keep debris away from fences, mailbox, power poles, transformers, and any other down electrical wires. Trash and debris will be collected only from curbside or on a public roadway. Now, effects on the infrastructure and what's going to happen to the infrastructure of Delray Beach. We are going to be severely affected by a storm here. So our infrastructure really is going to be shut down for a time. We won't really know how long. It really depends on the damage, but the inability for us to assess damage accurately is going to be hampered. Ambulances are going to be prevented from reaching victims. Police will be prevented from reaching areas of civil unrest. Fire departments preventing from getting to fires, and then the regular flow of needed supplies will all be affected after the storm. So you have to prepare yourself. you have to get extra food and water and supplies and first aid kit and medical items, you know, those kinds of things, and be ready for this duration of time as the infrastructure will be affected. We're going to have a lot of damage out there. There's going to be an increased risk of damage from falling debris and those types of things. Communications will be hampered with power lines that are down and phone lines are down. We know that. Damage to utilities, loss of utilities because there's going to be major outages here, electrical shock from powering or flickering electricity there, loss of contract between victims and providers, inadequate water supply, and the increased risk to public health from a disease potential from no fresh water. So all these things are going to happen. Fuel lines may be affected there, possible explosion problems, asphyxiation, and then getting gas for your car is going to be very difficult unless you get it beforehand. So some hazards that could happen into your home as well. Gas lines are ruptured from displaced water heaters, falling books and dishes and contents that come out, electrical shock, faulty wiring, overloaded plugs. All those things are possible hazards that could happen to you after the storm. So we want to try to prevent these things from happening. Now, other things that we can do to prevent damage from happening to our house, you know, before the storm, is bolt older houses at the foundation. If you have a house that's older than a 1950, it probably doesn't have hurricane support there to the foundation, so have a professional come and check that. Strap large propane tanks to concrete slabs, raise your utilities, like I said earlier. Check your appliances and wiring every 6 months when you change your smoke alarm batteries every 6 months. So make sure that you're checking the wires in your kitchen and anything that has an appliance. Strap mobile homes to their slabs. Ask a professional to come in to check your foundation and other house areas there. Anchor heavy furniture. If you have a big display case, anchor it to the wall so it doesn't fall over. Secure appliances and office equipment off of the ground. Secure cabinet doors with child-proof fasteners. Locate and label where your gas, electricity, and water shutoffs. Many people don't know where these things are. Most people know where your electrical panel is because you see that from time to time. Most people don't know where the shutoff, the main shutoff, is for their home. It's important, and if you have anything gas powered, where that shutoff is. So, in conclusion, don't let this next phrase scare you here. At this point, everything we just discussed should be done because it's June 3rd. Okay, so don't let that warn you. We're here to learn, right? Preparing or pre-planning is your key to success for hurricane season. Emergency services will be delayed responding. So you guys are going to be cut off from the outside world. You're going to be in your community. You're going to have to rely on yourselves to take care of each other. So we're prepared as a fire department and an EMS agency. We're prepared to take care of whatever we need to do. We're going to try our best to get there. But there may be a time where you guys are going to be isolated and you're going to have to take care of yourself. So you may be on your own for an unknown amount of time. It's not too late to get ready. Start preparing now. Start looking at and thinking about the things that we talked about tonight. Look at that hurricane preparedness guide that I put together. It really has everything in this presentation and a little bit more for you to think about. Our next CERT class starts Wednesday, October the 16th. So it's coming up soon. Get signed up. Captain Jepson will be taking applications. You can go online to our website and download an application and email it to him. So that's a resource for you. It's a great class. So in conclusion, are there any questions regarding hurricane preparedness? Let's open the floor up to questions. Yes, sir.
I didn't notice in your speech there, shouldn't everybody have like a fire extinguisher in the house?
You should have a fire extinguisher, absolutely. One of the 5-pound ABC portable fire extinguisher is another thing to put in your hurricane supply kit. And also, if you look on our website, we have a document called Are You Prepared? And it's all about what should be contained in your hurricane supply kit. It also refers to fire extinguishers. And if you didn't know, our CERT program, the second topic that we focus in on is disaster fire operations, and you learn how to use an extinguisher. We set up real fire for you downstairs, and you extinguish the fire with your team members. So you learn all about fire in our program there. So if you look at that, questions? More questions? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Everybody else is sending me notifications about getting a surge protector from the outside. Do you recommend getting that?
I would recommend getting the surge protector, yes. And especially, it doesn't even have to be, it can be a thunderstorm in the summertime, which we get many of those in the summer. If the lightning strikes the pole outside, it can come into your house. The surge protector is going to protect the entire interior of your home. It'll blow the fuse outside before it comes inside. So you can go to that route, or you can get surge protectors, those strips that you plug everything into inside your house. You can plug everything into that. Make sure it's a fuse protected surge protector, and that way it'll blow the fuse before it affects your appliances and your expensive equipment there. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
After WILMA, I noticed that there was an increased smell of gasoline in the bedroom closest to the neighbor behind us who had a generator. What's the point at which that's dangerous?
Well, any time that you smell gasoline coming from a neighbor's house, that's a bad sign. That should be enough reason for concern. You probably should go knock on the door and ask, you know, where the nature of the smell is coming from. Did he spill some? Are the cans outside your house? Let them know that it's coming into your house, and that, you know, hopefully you guys can resolve that issue and try to mitigate that problem before it gets out of hand. Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, according to the navigable laws, when do they open the bridges to the barrier islands?
When do they open the bridges to the barrier islands? That's all going to be based on how severe the damage is. Of course, fire rescue and the police are going to go in first to mitigate the whole scenario there. As soon as the water has receded enough to where we can get vehicle traffic in there safely, they're probably going to lower the bridges, and you're probably going to need an ID with your name and address to be able to go across the bridge initially. But we really can't tell you a time frame on that. It's really going to be based on conditions on the barrier island. Yes, ma'am.
Why do you recommend putting a teaspoon of bleach into a gallon of water?
That's to purify the water.
For storage?
I'm sorry?
For storage?
No, it's purifying the water. If you have water coming out of your tap and you don't have any drinking water, no bottled water anywhere, get a non-scented bleach, just a teaspoon. You can go to Target and Walmart and get the bleach purification tablets. One tablet is for a gallon. They have a bigger tablet for a 5-gallon. You swirl it around for about 15 minutes, and it purifies your water, so you're not going to get any upset stomach there. Yes, sir.
I think that people should also be aware they're going to fill their bathtubs. Before they do that, they should check to make sure they're not leaking. Now you have these openers, the jar openers.
The jar openers.
Come over there, get some paraffin wax or something, but make sure that the bathtub is not going to be draining out of all the water before you fill it.
A good point taken. Understand that your bathroom, the bathtub in your bathroom, you may fill it with water, but a lot of these drains have a slow leak potential. So get something to cover that, a piece of rubber, and lay that over the opening so it gets down and doesn't drain your water out. Yes, sir.
The short format is a package.
For what?
When you did your presentation, is that the same format in the package?
It's almost the same format. There's actually more information included in the Hurricane Preparedness Guide, but it's pretty much the same format here. Yes, sir. Minus the meteorology, of course. You're an expert, though, now, so you won't need that. Yes, ma'am.
There was something in the presentation about backflow into the house if there's flooding. Does that translate to if you're using your if you have two bathrooms and one has a tub and you're using that for water collection, but there's a shower in the other room, is that likely to be a source of backup, and should that be sealed off?
That's a possibility. If you find that happening, I would close all of your drains off and hope for the best. It's an unknown that could happen. It's really going to depend on the severity of the storm and how it affects us. Okay, so I have one of our CERT members here. This is Captain Jim Bast. He's the leader of our CERT volunteers. He has a couple of words he wants to say to everybody before we go, and we'll turn it over to Jim.
How about another round of applause for Kenny? Somebody watch their clock. I'm going to take 3 minutes because I know it's been a long night. You just had a very nice taste of what an outstanding instructor we have. Kenny. He and firefighter Joe Lang team up and teach the 8 weeks of training that we go through. And to give you a real quick recap of what it is, the first class is on disaster preparedness. The second is fire suppression. Then we do disaster medical operations. They're going to show us some outstanding first aid procedures, how to set up a triage in our neighborhood. We'll do search and rescue. From day one, they drill in our heads that our safety is the #1 priority. So we're never going to be exposed to something that's going to hurt us, because if we get hurt and out of action, we can't help others. We also have a very interesting lecture on disaster psychology. What do we do as helpers to ease the pain and mental anguish that maybe some of our neighbors are going through in a time of great loss or tragedy? And that's a very good class. And then we also touch base on terrorism, which is something that we in South Florida live with like any large city every day of the week. We don't know what can happen. My 2 boys are firefighter medics, so I'm a real proud dad of firefighters. And when my oldest son, told me to consider getting involved in the CERT program, I said, yeah, you know, I'm an old man. I've been around the block. What am I going to learn in CERT? I know how to use a fire extinguisher. I know how not to step on an electric wire. You know, I know what to bring in. I'm here to tell you, I'm in the program now for 3 years. Every time I redo the class, I learn something new. The other thing I love about the program is I don't have to know everything, because it's all about teamwork. I might know a little bit, and somebody else in my neighborhood might know a whole lot about a subject. So together we can get the job done. So if you guys are having any kind of anxiety about, oh my God, I got to pass a written test and it's going to be so difficult I can't do it, take that thought and throw it in the trash can, because you're going to love the program. The example of Kenny's lecture tonight, you got to admit, it went by pretty quickly. The classes are so interesting and stimulating that they fly by. So I'm telling you, if you haven't thought about it, really consider stepping up in October and attending a class, because no matter where you go, whatever happens, this stuff is invaluable as you travel around. So I want to thank you all for taking time to come from your community and being here, and I hope that I see you in October 16th.